Welcome to the Business Success Strategies with Adrian McLean. This is a 30-minute interview with successful business people who have been able to achieve amazing results with growing a business. Business Success Strategies is proudly sponsored by The Speaker's Practice and AdrianMcLean.com, helping business owners with marketing and promotions with a specialty with public speaking. Enjoy today's Business Success Strategies interview.
So thanks for joining us for this Business Success Strategies interview. The aim of this 30-minute interview is to find out from highly successful experts approaches for marketing and growing a business. We're thrilled to have Anna McAfee with us today, the co-founder and head of community of LinkedIn Local. The topic of our interview today is how to build a community on LinkedIn globally. Hi there, Anna.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Great to have you with us. So before we get started, how did you come up with the idea of LinkedIn Local?
Well, I was spending a bit of time on LinkedIn and chatting to some local connections. I connected with a lot of people locally. I hadn't met them in person, and I put up a post on LinkedIn about local engagement, some statistics I had from Sales Navigator, and we had very low engagement, and it was suggested that we meet up. So I thought, well, maybe this is a good idea. So the following week, I put up a post on LinkedIn and said, I want to host a LinkedIn Local in Coffs Harbour. Who wants to join me? And I gave it the hashtag, and I think the hashtag was probably the most crucial thing I may have ever done from a career perspective, because it obviously encourages participation. Within a few hours, I had people in London and Brussels and New York, commenting and saying, New York was a few days later, but said this is a wonderful idea. I'm going to try this in my city, and so a few kind of popped up initially, and then it has just grown and grown since then. So LinkedIn Local is really, it's a means to get to know the people behind the profiles, connect face to face, in a very authentic and sustainable way, and not pitch. They're pitch free. They're not for profit events, and it really is about people coming together to truly just get to know one another. I think we're now in 82 countries in around 450 cities. I lose count. So, and that's in 18 months. So wow. It all happened in June last year, and now in December we're at 82 countries.
Oh,
and
wow.
Around about that many locations.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's amazing, and
Thank
so
you.
Fast too.
Yes, it's been a crazy exponential growth to watch.
Yeah. Well, so what made you choose the platform of LinkedIn?
I suppose background-wise, I used to work in the recruitment industry, so LinkedIn has always been my go-to social media place. I'm a huge fan of Facebook. It's very advertising-driven, Facebook, or if you use it personally, it's very. I liked the content on LinkedIn. It's more professional. It's not as personal as a lot of stuff on Facebook. I don't understand the platforms anywhere near as much as LinkedIn, so I guess that's where it is. And I think that an online to offline movement is. I think if it was going to come from anywhere, it was going to come from LinkedIn, because it is truly a platform built for people. Yes. As I mentioned, Facebook is built whilst you have people. Obviously, people have pages. It's revenue where Facebook are trying to drive traffic is really to company pages and advertising. Instagram is very image based. It's businesses as well as personal. LinkedIn, whilst they're making some changes to company pages, has really always been about people profiles. So it has always been a much more personal platform. And so in that sense, I think any online to offline movement was going to happen first there.
Yeah, and that's really valuable, isn't it? You can connect online, and then you can then connect offline in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are the features of LinkedIn that you really like that professionals and especially business people, but also people looking for work, can benefit? How can they benefit from LinkedIn?
Look, LinkedIn, it's it's a free platform, which I think is beneficial to a lot. You can upgrade, but there is so much that you can do on a free basis that for a lot of people and a lot of businesses, having a premium isn't necessarily worthwhile. So I think it's somewhere that you can go. It's very business to business centric. There is some business to consumer as well, but for those in the B2B space, it's definitely a great place to be. Yeah. I think as well, it can really suit smaller businesses too, a lot of micro businesses, because you can get particularly video traction. You can get a lot of very much organic traffic if you connect with people in a great way. And that is again one of the features, is that you can just connect with so many people. You can find them via searches, you can reach out to them, you can obviously start to form relationships with them all online. And you have such a reach to different markets, different countries all over the world, simply just from LinkedIn. And people are usually fairly open to connecting, I think, again, if you're connecting with them in the right way and not selling. But you can really build a valuable network and then get amazing traction on some content that you're not actually paying to put out there. It's very organic content, great video views, simply. And so for a smaller business, whilst you do need to spend the time, we all need to spend time building relationships. That for a small business, I think, is great, because you don't need huge advertising dollars to obviously reach an audience.
No, and you can post information that you're interested in and connect on Messenger
and ask questions and
yeah.
I had an example would be, and it's because it wasn't me selling my business, I asked people what time management tools they were using, and I had a great number of people saying use Trello or use Slack or use all sorts of different, or use these particular tools and it was just a great way, because it was a legitimate business question I had, because I just was struggling to find something that was helping me manage my time, and it was wonderful to get. I had people sending me links. I had, it was great. It's a very supportive community, and that's what I have always found. And so wanting to meet them face to face was something I wanted to do.
Yeah, and that you're getting that engagement online first, and then transferring it to face, which is really great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. So, well, let's ask, how did LinkedIn Local grow global?
Look, I think it's just the reach of the network. I think that's an example of, you can be connected to people in London and Brussels and New York and the Dominican Republic and lots of places that see your posts. Now, you don't have to. A lot of people with very either national or very city-based businesses don't need to connect out with that. But if you do, want to reach that global audience, there is that potential there. Yeah. And so it's simply just found through, you don't make posts on a geographical basis to people in a certain geography. It's very much post to your newsfeed, and that's your network, and you choose who your network is. Yeah. So if you want that to be international, then it can certainly, reach obviously an international market just simply by using the features that are there.
Yeah. Was it business issues or business topics or that attracted the global interest? There must have been.
For LinkedIn Local, no, it was very much a human element in the events. It was really, I think, what people are very much drawn to is the fact that these events are pitch free. They're not about businesses; they're about people coming together. It's about finding, people. It's about bringing that human thing back into business, because we all do. People want to do business with people. They want to know who you are. They want to know why you driven to, your industry or whatever it is. People don't look at a company website and think that's the company I'm going to do business with. They usually meet the person that they're going to be forming a relationship with and then choose who they're going to work with. And it's obviously the same for recruitment as well. You need to obviously meet people face to face. So I think it's people are really driven by very much getting to know the people behind the profile, the human element of what we do, and the pitch-free, very collaborative movement has really drawn people, because I think traditional networking can be very salesy, and that puts a lot of people off. So the human element, I think, is key to what we've done.
Yeah. And that human element is so important in all of this, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think, being a human online can go a long way in marketing.
Well, I think there was a stage where that sort of was put aside a little bit, and now people are just sort of wanting that connection, and that's really important.
Absolutely. And our workforces are changing so much. There's so much freelancing, there's so much working from home. People are missing, people are doing projects and jumping from job to job. They're not establishing a lot of relationships as we used to in the workplace, where you might work there for 5 to 10 years, one place to go, and one team to deal with. I think the relationships that people are forming through business is changing. And we've seen, and I think that's really the timing of LinkedIn Local is crucial to those changes, because we are very much seeing people needing to expand their networks for opportunities from their immediate circles. And traditional networking, which is all about people just doing business and trying to get business from it, is harder to go to for a lot of those people who are either introverted or just really need to expand their circle. And people are moving cities so often. I hear a lot of people, I'm visiting this city, or I've just moved to Washington. I'm going to go to the LinkedIn Local group there because I'm on LinkedIn and it's relevant to me.
Yeah. And it is sort of connecting people, isn't it? I mean, they've got that commonality in the world really now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so how can businesses really benefit from being a part of the LinkedIn Local? Are you members, or how does all that work?
It's just simply there's no membership or anything. It's actually not a monetized model. It's a user-driven community of LinkedIn users who wanted to start this and bring this together. So there's no kind of membership. There's literally events that happen in your city, and you can find them online and go along. LinkedIn are about to release an events area, which will massively help us promote things. But primarily, for example, Sydney have they have a LinkedIn company page. There's a Facebook page. There's an Instagram account. There's a Twitter account. So you can find LinkedIn Local Sydney on there. And they usually have mailing lists as well. So Melbourne would be the same. I know how they have a mailing list, and it's really just about just finding them, online, the next upcoming event, and going along. So they will usually have a ticket price that you need to pay, which usually covers food on the night and the venue hire, but it's usually relatively inexpensive. And so it is just about paying the ticket to go along, or contacting the hosts to get on the mailing list, or following social media.
Yeah. Well, when we met at a LinkedIn Local Sydney group, and
we did. It was great.
It
great
was
night.
Absolutely fantastic evening. Yeah, and interesting discussions, and certainly I learned a lot about how to use LinkedIn better.
Yeah, I think for most people, and myself included, there's always room for improvement. The marketing evolves, platforms evolve, like the events area on LinkedIn. There's always new things to learn and things to keep updated with, and changes to what's happening in your industry. And so these events can really help. We've had a lot of events globally, really encouraging people to get more comfortable with video, or have kind of meaningful discussions around mental health in the workplace, or work-life balance and burnout. There's been a lot of really interesting things coming out of a lot of the cities, and interesting ideas, trying to create some meaningful discussions that are going on, and helping people learn, not in a workshop environment, but just have a couple of takeaways from the event that they can just go and implement in their business. But yet the event's still fun and you get to meet a lot of people and obviously expand your circle better.
Yeah. So, yes, LinkedIn is now going to have an events section. Is that right?
Yes.
Wow. And will we be able to post events on there? Is it that sort of fantastic?
So it's going to be available to any user. At the moment, there's a pilot program, so there's around 200 of us that are on the pilot. So there are, if you do see an event there, that's where it's come from. But it's any kind of event, so recruitment fairs or your own workshops, anything like that can actually be posted on LinkedIn, and you can invite people from your network, obviously, to come along to the event. And the registration still happens via Eventbrite. Yeah. Very similar to the way the Facebook events functionality works. You can list an event up there and then register via Eventbrite for that particular event.
Oh, that's fantastic. One question that I ask all my guests is, what's a business strategy that you recommend that's really worked for you?
The thing that has worked really well for me, I think, is I guess whether it's a mindset or whether it's a strategy, I would say it's both, but is really the strategy of giving. LinkedIn Local has grown because myself and the other co-founders wanted to help this spread, and we saw the value in people being empowered to be a part of this without us trying to have any ownership of it. And how could we own it? It was LinkedIn anyway. And I think that whole giving aspect has opened up so much for me personally, for me from a business sense as well, and in terms of the friendships and the people I've made and met, has been enormous. And to me, I suppose I very much have a growth mindset around that, rather than a scarcity idea of, there's not enough connections to go around. I think there's however many businesses out there that need help, and I think just having that and I'm not saying give everything away, absolutely not, and I think it's even people in content are like, oh, well, I'm not going to share any of my strategy and my content because that would give it to my competitors, or why would people come to me? But in terms of giving, I think if you share just a little bit of information about your knowledge on, say, Facebook ads or something, then people understand that you're an expert. You build that relationship with them, so they're going to come to you when they need help with that. And so I think that giving that little bit away, and actually having that mindset to do that is a strategy I would certainly recommend. There's a good book on that, Adam Grant's Give and Take, because it talks about the flip side of that as well, to best understand that too.
Oh, that's beautiful, Anna. That's a lovely way to look at the workplace and business, and it can always be a bit take, but that's a beautiful way where you're giving to the community.
Yeah, there's a lot of research being done about that just now, and I think I've had a number of hosts who've recommended books to me. Actually, I'm going to publish an article on that very soon. But, I've read a lot of books over the last year that our hosts have said, there's a book that talks a lot about this kind of thing about, groups actually working together rather than competing with one another, and the potential of that, and how it, how as organisations we actually work better when there isn't a structure for being the best and having that over competitive nature that, even in it's done a lot of research in, even in the banking industry with trading, and talking about how certain traders who are really excelling, if you actually move them out of the team that they're in, they don't necessarily always excel. It's actually the team and the people that they're working with that are helping them be so successful rather than them as individuals. And that is an industry that is probably very much the reputation that it is very take. So it's a lot of interesting stuff to read and share about that.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, please tell us a bit about your business? Is it LinkedIn Local or is it
So
something
I do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn Local. It is a passion of mine, but it's when it happened and working on it for the last 18 months, it has really ignited another passion for me and some of the other co-founders as well in terms of community. So we have another business called LocalX, which is really about helping other brands and businesses and communities thrive more. So every business has a community that you might not do any offline stuff. It may all be online, but your community is your social media following, your existing customers, your past customers, potential customers, mailing list, all of that sort of thing, as well as your internal employees. So it's taking a look at that community and really helping those communities thrive and helping them really kind of work together, and obviously building some technology. We're in the process of doing that to help support. And ultimately, the way we see that as it's a technology product actually for community managers by community managers. We know the pain points. We've dealt with them for 18 months, and so. It's really looking at the lessons of one and taking some of those lessons and really helping other businesses achieve what we've done with LinkedIn Local.
Oh, fantastic! If the business can build a community around them, then the business prospers.
Absolutely, and I think the big thing we've seen with LinkedIn Local is really about social impact. It's very much been about, as I mentioned, the meaningful discussions, the value it's actually adding to people, not only just the kind of digital social isolation, but also, the lessons that people are learning. There's been a lot of events. The one that we met was supporting Buy a Bail, and we raised 100 bales for rural aid, and
that's right.
So there's a lot of social impact with, and I think tying that into the community has been really important. Both those aspects of social impact, because it really gives it something that's of value, something that people really want to be a part of. And if brands and businesses can do that, so many businesses now have so much corporate social responsibility and whole departments dealing with that, and actually activating the community for that is a really wonderful way in order to really not just tick the boxes, but really enrich and help thrive what they're doing.
And support our community. That's fantastic. Yeah.
As an example, Canberra have, I haven't heard otherwise, but I know they were on target to do 10,000 meals for the homeless, their LinkedIn Local group. That was the target they set at the start of the year. So that was, directly impacting the community within Canberra, the homeless community. So it's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, well, just a bit off topic, I suppose, but it is even in our local area, I'm surprised about the number of homeless or struggling people in our community, and they're almost hidden until these support groups start to provide food. We've got one here called Hornsby Connects, and I happened to be there dropping off some food for them, and there were 80 or 90 people there looking for for food and to buy low cost food that happened to be there. It's extraordinary, and you just don't know that these struggles are there until these organisations start to offer this service. It's amazing. So so that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting partnerships happening with different charities all over the world. So it's really great to see. And a lot of people. We have there's been a really big LinkedIn Local recently in Port Moresby. There's a lot starting to happen in French-speaking Africa. There's a lot of countries that have a lot of millennials who really need to understand about LinkedIn and how it's important to them, and what the abilities that they, I guess as we talked about, the features that are available to them. So,
Yeah.
but again, another means to connect, because they don't have a lot of means to connect with the professional community there. So it's breaking down a lot of barriers, which I think is wonderful to see.
I must ask, just as we finish, but it's really important, what are some of your top recommendations for using LinkedIn? How can we use it to its best?
First one would be sending personalised invites. It's about 5% of people on LinkedIn do it, and trust me, there you're going to get much more higher acceptance rate if you do it. On mobile, you do have to click the 3 little dots rather than connect and then go to personalised invite. It's easier on desktop because it does prompt you to one.
Yeah.
But that is a big one. I'm often getting connection requests and I accept, if I'm busy, I'll accept the personalised ones. Yeah. And then I'll get back to the others later. And people want to know why you're reaching out, but don't sell in the first. Don't say, hi, I've got, great products.
Yeah.
Why don't you check out my website? Do you want to connect? Because most people will say no. Yeah. It's very much just, I'm keen to connect with others in the Sydney area, other businesses or within their industry, whatever it is. I'm keen to expand my network with more professionals in the area. Something simple like that. You're going to get a lot better acceptance rate and doing that there. Yeah. Secondly, I would say regularly, the big thing for me on LinkedIn that I tell people when they're getting started is just listen. Go to your news feed and just look what's in your news feed. Look what other people are posting. Interact with it, and interact more so with comments than likes, because that's going to get you start to build relationships, but it's also going to build your confidence. A lot of people are really unsure about sharing on LinkedIn, and they're like, I don't know what to post, but you can actually start to build your network and start to build some confidence just by commenting on other people's posts. And if you see somebody's content that you like, send them a connection request and say, hey, I loved your video. That was a really great point. Do you want to connect? Yeah. Everybody will say yes to that, by the way, unless they have 30,000. It's a great way to build your network, and they're active users. Look at other people who've commented that like that particular subject.
Oh, okay.
And Sandra just said, that works really well. Yeah. That's wonderful to hear. So, just start listening, and I think over time you start to build that confidence. I mean, I need to do more videos on LinkedIn. I don't love video. I find it very hard to do. I've probably done about maybe 15 to 20 in total in the last year, but which is a lot for a lot of people, but I'm certainly not a daily video person. And text-only posts are a great way to get started with content. When you're ready, when you feel ready and you've made some comments and you want to start sharing, and if video isn't for you, then text-only posts are great. Short storytelling pieces, but ask questions.
Yeah.
Like the example I used at the start of this, I really was struggling. I'm really struggling from a time management perspective because I have multiple projects. Can anybody share what they're using? And I had people commenting going, this is a great thread. I love this. I have no tips whatsoever, but I'm really happy you asked this question. So even just a simple question like that can add value to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. So you've given us so much information and so many wonderful approaches, and you've done a beautiful video. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I find it. See, I can do it like this. It's the standing myself and then having to edit it that's harder.
Yes. So it's really appreciated, and I hope to see you at another LinkedIn local event.
Yes, I'll let you know next time I'm in Sydney.
Okay. Thanks so much, Anna. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Great to chat.